Well, now it's all going to pot, whether we like it or not. Best I can tell, the world's gone to hell, and we're sure gonna miss it a lot. All of the whiskey in Lynchburg, Tennessee, just couldn't hit the spot.
Hi folks, Lauren here, This Week in Weed TV. You like my unification hat? You like that? No, me either. Do you know I get so tired of hearing stupid shit, especially when we're talking about legalization of medical cannabis in Australia. It's not rocket science, folks. 2014, mothers of sick kids got the politicians to agree to legalize medical cannabis essentially for kids. 2015, a survey came out and they discovered that 94% of Australians interviewing hundreds of people agreed they wanted to legalize medical cannabis. They didn't see any issues with cannabis being legalized for medical use. Government freaks out. Next thing is there in 2016, Victoria, multiple bills, Queensland, WA, federally, multiple bills across the country redefine medical cannabis so that one important thing is the end result of that. Medical cannabis, per law in Australia, doesn't need to include cannabis. It can include pharmaceuticals, it can include synthetics, hemp with no THC, CBD with no THC, synthetics that don't come from a plant, of course. It could be synthetic cannabis, it could be synthetic opioids, all of it written in law, all of it on the various websites. It's not rocket science, folks. So what happens is a lot of people come out and say, well, what's this weird shit? Medical cannabis is legal in Australia, but nobody can access it. It doesn't matter if you're growing a ton of real cannabis. If nobody can effing access it, it's still not available. So when people speak out and say, guess what? This sucks. You guys are feeding us a load of crap. The activists out there, the groups of activists out there are not supporting the laws to legalize cannabis for medical use. It's no more complicated than that, folks. If people aren't out there supporting the legalization of medical cannabis, and they're representing you, patients, people that want it, removal of prohibition only happens once you take the first step. Canada, the USA combined, 220 million people, 220 million people have legal access to medical cannabis in the USA and Canada alone. 220 million people. Right? USA, Canada, California, 21 going on 22 years ago, it's been legal. Canada, 2001. 2001 is also when they legalized medical cannabis that didn't need to be including cannabis. So when folks are talking unity out there and giving people shit for speaking their mind, saying unity of what? What is the purpose of these groups that tend to be representing you? Pretty simple. What is their purpose? Those that represent those fighting for legalization, folks supporting the new bills coming out in New South Wales, potentially legalizing cannabis. No, they're not perfect. No, they're not the best bills ever, but they're first step and they actually protect patients. Nothing else in this country is doing that. So you can take all the BS, you can take all the threats, and you can take everything else and you know where you can put them. Let's deal with the facts. You don't disagree with the ideology of facts? That's your problem. You don't agree with the fact that medical cannabis should be legal? Cool, that's your thing. But to have people come out and threaten other people in the community because they're supporting legalization of cannabis for medical use that's real cannabis, that isn't going to stick, folks. So anytime somebody says to you, hey, I've got your best interest at heart, what's the end game? If that end game is a protest or a rally or a picnic or 3 or 17 barbecues or funny hats, or funny faces, it's BS. The only thing that matters, the only way you change the laws is to change the laws. The only way you fix the laws is to fix the laws. You need a bill or you need a legal action to actually change the laws in Australia. If you don't do that, nothing else matters. Nothing else is going to happen. That's all there is to it. So who should you support? Who should you be out there? When people are talking things, what is their political affiliation? Are they leading some activist group that doesn't have your best interest at heart, that might be funded by the pharmaceutical industry? Yeah. You know, people out there saying, oh, I've got no other interests. Well, wait a minute. The group that you're representing is funded by pharma? The group that you're representing is supporting an activist that's anti-cannabis? Whoa. So when we're talking unity, let's talk about who you unite behind. You should be uniting behind people that are supporting the legalization of cannabis for medical use. That's different than medical cannabis. All you got to do is look at the various websites. Medical cannabis in Australia is legal, but only if it doesn't include cannabis. It's legal to grow cannabis in Australia, medical cannabis, as long as it doesn't include cannabis. This is the law we got, folks. So BS aside, if you're going to unite behind anybody, how about uniting behind the people that are working on changing the laws by working with the MPs, what few there are, that have actually got the bills out there to try and change the laws to make medical cannabis legal, like Adam Searle in New South Wales and Luke Foley in New South Wales. They're the only ones that have got the bills that have been out there that the activists have not been supporting. Ask your activist that. How come I'm an activist and I'm supporting legalization of medical cannabis, but I'm not supporting the bills to legalize medical cannabis? It's not rocket science, folks. They've got agendas, they've got money, they've got other agendas, or it's bad for business. The black market doesn't want it legal either. So unite behind the folks that want to legalize medical cannabis with real cannabis in it. It's no more tough than that, folks. Peace and love. Deal with facts, not the BS. Funny hats.